Hey, so you're interested in starting a fragrance collection, but watching YouTube fragrance reviews and walking into a fragrance store is just way too overwhelming? I get it. Today, I'm gonna bring you guys 4 fragrances, one designer fragrance for each season to start your fragrance collection. Stay tuned. Welcome back, guys. My name is Earl, and this is the Casual Collector. So a couple of days ago, I was sitting here trying to figure out what I wanted to wear, and I just decided to take account of how many fragrances that I actually own now, which is around 120 fragrances. Small to some, but massive to others. And then as I was contemplating or maybe even reflecting back on how I got started and looking at some of the purchases that I made, I realized I was shopping all over the place. I really did not know what my fragrance type was, if I was a woody guy or a fruity guy, oriental or fougere. And it's so strange because my collection is kind of scatterbrained all over the place. As of lately, I've acquired more of my taste, but I realized in the beginning I didn't even know what my taste was. So I was motivated to come in here and make a video speaking more or less to the guys who have been casually watching fragrance reviews and list videos, but hadn't really dived into purchasing fragrances, or somebody that's brand new. I actually met a guy in the store about a week ago who was kind of in that same boat. He was trying to decide, he didn't know what his scent was. So I provided him some options of fragrances that I thought he should buy in the moment, as well as let him know about this channel. So if you're out there watching, what's up, bro? And I realized that there are people in that same boat. So each fragrance I'm gonna bring to you is one that's versatile, one that you can find at a very decent price. Everything here is under $100 if you buy it in the right space. And these are some go-to fragrances for me that may vary from some other lists that they've seen before, but definitely fragrances that I believe that'll work. So let's get started. So we're gonna start out in spring. As we know, springtime is a time where we're transferring from colder weather, beginning to get into warmer weather. The sun is out a little bit longer, so you have a little bit more daytime to kind of hang out. But you still have either cold mornings or cold nights with mid-range to warm days. Like I said, in most regions, if you're down south, it's probably warm already. This fragrance has notes of apple, iris, sandalwood, mint. And the first fragrance I have for the springtime is English Laundry Oxford Blue. I know some of the frag heads and frag collectors are gonna look at this video and say, what? But let me tell you, I think this fragrance is a phenomenal starter fragrance. Something that's very inexpensive but still has quality. Some people say they feel like it's synthetic, but when you own fragrances, especially over 100 fragrances, and you've smelled niche fragrances and indie fragrances and high quality designer fragrances, of course, you might not lean so much to it, but I'm speaking to the brand new beginning person, somebody who want to smell good, who's probably smelled a Marshall's fragrance where this shit is super alcohol-y, or had just bad encounters with fragrances that were nauseating to the nose, or just didn't last too long. Oxford Blue is versatile. It's one of those fragrances that can be worn to an office. You can wear it to gatherings. You're not overexpressing yourself with this fragrance. It's probably the mildest fragrance on this list. It's springtime. You're still working on your summer body, so you still, you're still rocking your clothes. You're not walking around with your shirt off just yet. This is one of those fragrances that I think works very well in almost any situation in the springtime. It's fresh, it's lively, it's powdery, so it has a bit of density to it. And like I said, it's very expensive. If you go in Marshall's, TJ Maxx, or go on the discounted site, you can find it between $14 and $25. And for clarity, it actually retails from the designer itself between $60 and $80, or if you go in Men's Warehouse or somewhere like that, you will actually pay a decent penny for this. So just because it's discounted so heavily in some of the rack stores or online doesn't mean it's a bad fragrance. It's really a dope fragrance. It's one of my favorite fragrances from the English Laundry line. something that could be worn dressed up or casual, even dressed down a bit. You know, probably not a tank top. It's a great starter fragrance. I know some people may lean more to Prada L'Homme or Acqua di Gio Profumo, but those are for the more experienced noses. We're talking about somebody who's just getting started, who want to smell good, who don't want to overthink it. I think English Laundry Oxford Blue is the right way to go for spring. For the summertime, we're going with one of my top 10 fragrances from a designer. And remember, this is a designer. This is not niche. This is not independent. So these are all fragrances that you could find in a department store, some of them in a rack store, but mostly like in a department store or online. So this fragrance is bright, it's energizing, it lasts long on my skin, so I assume that you should get pretty good performance on your skin. So for the summer, I'm going with Yves Saint Laurent Y EDT. This fragrance has notes of green apple, pineapple, mint, lemon, vetiver. It's one of those fragrances, and because you start and you probably don't really understand those compositions or understand how they blend, but when I tell you this fragrance is something that's going to get you compliments, this is one of those fragrances that you're going to feel good in. YSL Y EDT is one of the easiest fragrances to pick up. If you don't own a lot of fragrances, I can see you grabbing for this fragrance even when it's not the season that I'm suggesting, which is summertime, because it is actually a really versatile fragrance that can be worn in many different seasons. Well, we only have 4, but it can be worn outside of summertime. It can be worn in the springtime, in the fall, lightly in the winter if you choose, if it's warm where you are, not necessarily for like really cold weather. But this fragrance makes me happy, man. Every time I smell it, I'm gonna tell you a little in-house secret. When I wake up in the morning, or if I leave to go to work or run some errands and I come back to the office, aka the fragrance room, and I smell about 4 or 5 different fragrances. It's just some fragrances that I have to take the cap off and just put to my nose, and maybe that's part of my enthusiasm, or some people may call it an addiction. Who knows? Who cares? It's a safe one, a pricey one, but a safe one. And YSL Y, if I don't wear it, this is one of maybe 4 or 5 fragrances that I'll pull that cap off and I smell it every day. It's just really a great, attractive fragrance in that way. Like, every time I wear this, before mask, now during mask, I still get compliments. Maybe a couple, just depending on how many people I pass by. And maybe not even compliments, but people asking me what I'm wearing. And I'm always happy to tell them. I know I've turned some people on, some people that I know, and they've bought it and they were like, yo, this is amazing. This is one of those fragrances, like I said, it's easy to reach. You always want to smell it, in my opinion. And they have other fragrances within the space. So they have YSL Y EDP, they have Live, and I believe Eau Fresh. Me personally, while I collect fragrances, and because I love this one so much, I just hadn't made the effort to even pick up the other ones, because I still have a decent amount of juice, even though I've used a good bit of it. And I'm telling you, this one is pretty dope, and I think for someone who's beginning, you'll feel the same way. So for the summertime, I'm going YSL Y EDT. So now we're into the fall. Fall brings football season, HBCU homecomings, Oktoberfest. We're still out and about. Jean jackets, maybe nothing too crazy. So we want to get into a darker fragrance, but we don't want to go too heavy, too dense, too soon, because we still catch some of that heat during the daytime. And depending on where you live at, you get the bipolar weather where one day is really cold and the next day is 80 degrees. So my next fragrance is a spicy fragrance, but still has fresh elements to it. It's another fragrance that has great versatile usage, and it's great for the fall. So my fragrance for the fall is Stronger With You by Armani. This fragrance is spicy, but it has some fresh elements to it. It has notes like cardamom, lavender, violet leaf, and guys, don't be afraid. If you're new to this, don't be afraid of florals. Florals are in most fragrances. Don't think of florals like something that your mom used to wear. Florals could brighten up a fragrance or add depth to a fragrance, and oftentimes it's unnoticeable unless it's a fragrance that leans heavy toward that particular note. And it also has notes of chestnut, vanilla, cedar, which makes it sweet. This fragrance is very versatile. All of these fragrances on this list are versatile. These are fragrances because it's only one fragrance per season. So these are fragrances that you could wear to work, that you could wear out and about with your friends, wear on a date, wear in close encounters, fragrances that does not offend, fragrances that have pretty decent projection and longevity, which I really didn't dig too deep into today in this video because it's more or less about giving you guys a guide on just fragrances to consider purchasing. This fragrance could be found on a discounted site, or like I believe I got this from Kohl's for about 50 bucks. So like I said, these fragrances aren't too expensive. They won't break the bank, but they will make you happy and definitely encourage you to continue your fragrance journey. So my fragrance for the fall is Stronger With You by Armani. So now we're at the winter time. So we're getting into holiday parties, we're dressing heavier, so you want to get a darker, more dense fragrance that could cut through the cold. Oftentimes, us fragrance collectors will go with something either smoky, woody, or gourmand scented. And this fragrance has a super simple note breakdown of coffee, ebony woods, and blood orange. And it's something that I think that you will really enjoy. For me, my number 4 fragrance, or my fragrance for the wintertime, is Polo Red Extreme. Because this is dedicated to newer collectors, you probably want to know what a gourmand is. You probably know because you've watched other videos. But a gourmand fragrance is a fragrance that reminds you of something that you would eat or something that you would drink, or put you in the mind of something that's edible. So when I say it has a coffee note, I don't mean the burnt coffee from McDonald's. This is more like a Javelia coffee with some oat milk. Like I've said in the previous fragrances, this fragrance could be worn in multiple settings. You could wear this to work. You could wear this out to a holiday party. You could wear this on a date. This is really a great date night fragrance, but you could wear it in the daytime too. You're layered with jackets and sweaters and things of that nature. For somebody like you who's new to collecting fragrances, finding fragrances that you like, I think this is a very easy reach. This is something that you won't have to really think too hard about. Something that you'll be happy to wear if you're working from home or if you're stepping out in the wintertime. So my fragrance for the wintertime is Polo Red Extreme. Alright, new collectors, I really hope you enjoyed this video. I hope I kind of made the job easy for you. I will leave a link down below in the description for each one of these fragrances and where you can find them at a really great price. Also, if you're just starting, don't really focus on getting the big bottles if you don't need to. Start out with a sample, or start out with a 50 milliliter or maybe a smaller variation of the fragrance. That way you can save some coin, really get to know the fragrance. And if you feel so compelled, then maybe later down the line, getting a bigger bottle. Hey, so if you like this video, please consider hitting the like button. Drop me a comment. Tell me if you got any video ideas that you want me to cover. I drop a video every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And in order to be able to see those right away, you gotta hit the subscribe button and even hit the notification bell. That way you're alerted when the videos are available. So until next time, grab one of these fragrances, and before you step out the house, make sure you smell good, smile.